So it's Friday, and you know what that means? That means user review scores are now open for Pokemon Sword and Shield, and based on the massive divide of the fan base, I don't think we were expecting anything other than mass review bombing, and then what we've seen before, mass review, what would be the word? Praising, just giving tens. Yeah, that's happening. We have people review bombing it, and we have people giving the thing perfect scores to counteract it. It is all over the place. This is probably going to be more controversial, I would say, than something like even Death Stranding, and that was crazy. We talked about Astral Chain before, and remember in Death Stranding I said wait till next week when Pokemon comes out. Yeah, it's already building up. We already have over 1,000 scores turned in. I think it's like 12 or 1,300 for Pokemon Sword. Less for Shield, mostly because Sword appears to be on the front page. So when you click it, it just takes you to Pokemon Sword. So unfortunately for Sword, it ended up being kind of the sacrificial lamb, as you will, for all of these user reviews hitting it. Now, I did pick up Pokemon Sword to check it out. First real console, quote-unquote, traditional Pokemon game, and this has been building up for, like 20-something years now, so yes, I wanted to grab it to see how it all turned out, and because I'm sure we'll be talking about it on the podcast tomorrow night, so I wanted to grab one of them. I got Sword, Evan has Shield, so I guess that would make sense to trade and all of that. Give different experiences and impressions on what's going on in the game. And when I played for a couple hours, I picked my starter, which I picked Grookey like any rational person should. I mean, here, take a look at the three starters. Which one of these looks more prepared to you? Because out of the three, only one of them thought to bring a weapon on a journey where they will literally be battling other Pokemon. I wanted to reward that kind of preparedness, so I went ahead and grabbed Grookey. The fact that he is willing to bring a weapon immediately tells me that he's probably seen some things, probably has some street smarts, so I needed him on my team. But I played for a couple of hours so far, and I still have quite a bit to work through. I'm playing that and Jedi the Fallen Order right now, switching off between them. And so I have some very, very early impressions, specifically about the way the game looks, kind of how it runs, and a few other parts of it. But I still have quite a bit to play before I could even drop a user score. So you imagine my shock when this many, almost 2,000 now, have already come in giving it zeros and tens. Now, they're not all like that, but that seems to be the vast majority, is either they're very negative or they're very positive. Here we are with Pokemon Sword, and you can see it has a user score right now of 3.3, 294 positive, 907 negative, and an 80 mixed. So this has all happened very quickly. I think these opened up at like 2 or 3 a.m. last night, and here we are, 12, 13, 14 hours later, and boom, it has that many. And that would tell me that people would have played enough to be able to show up and give a review score for this game. Now, the review score, I've said this before, the scale I think is all messed up. I believe that the whole scale should be used, but if you give a game anything like a 7 or under for bigger games and you're an organization, that's seen as bad. Like if you're like an IGN and you give something like Death Stranding a 6.5, that is considered very, very bad. Whereas if you consider that, the fact that you don't really use anything under 5, yeah, I guess that would be the case. They might as well just go to a 5 system, a 1 through 5, because they only really use 5 through 10 anyway, and really it's 6 through 10. So that's why it's so funny to see so many zeros used in these cases. So let's take a look at some of these reviews here, and I will also say this is an interesting situation because the game did leak out a while ago now, I think like a week ago or something. And there's a good chance that a lot of these people have played this game, or maybe not everyone, but some of these people probably have actually played this game. A lot of times I'll talk about how it's interesting that reviews show up so close to launch, so you'd only have like an hour or two put in, or maybe not even playing the game at all. Well, some of these people probably have. Now, I would say the majority have not, and it does appear to be more of a bulletin board to post what you don't like about the game from the outside perspective, but let's see what they had to say. So kicking it off here with Aaron, giving it a 4, which, you know what, for review bombing purposes, that's not bad. I mean, review bombing is like 0 through 5, so they kind of gave it like an 80. So, hey, that's not bad. This is not a new generation Pokemon game. It's only a good way to do so much money without wasting much. Hashtag Game Freak Lies. Now, immediately when they put that hashtag in there, that should tell you that they probably didn't pick it up. They probably weren't going to be playing it, and they're mad about what's going on outside of the game. And I think it's okay to voice your opinion online about the game and what you don't like. It's strange to attach a review score to it and put it on Metacritic when you could just go post it on a forum or post it on Twitter or other places. That's an odd place to do it. I don't think that really belongs there, but they gave it a 4, and actually only a point or two off from it turning into a yellow color, because it's like red, yellow, and green. So that probably not the best attempt at a review bomb. This one's a bit better. This is from Iriox. Not all Pokemon are in the game. PS2 graphics, PS1 animation, hand-holding for the entire game. And the game feels rushed for available. Be available before Christmas. They are trying to spell that. Okay. Anyway, available before Christmas. Yeah, I've said this before. There's no way the game was going to be delayed. People assume that they can push it back. It's not even Game Freak's call necessarily, because there are so many, Nintendo, of course, Creatures, and Game Freak all make up the Pokemon company, and they are managing it. So Game Freak has a deadline that they have to meet. PS2 graphics, I will say, looking at it, the visuals don't look that good. I am a little surprised at that. To be honest, when I put it on my monitor, it doesn't look great. I mean, from the 3DS, it's a big step up, but you would expect that going to the Switch. I would expect that their next game in the series, whatever it is, after whatever the next one they do, then they'll probably do remakes. A lot of people assume then they'll go to the next one. I think that's when you'll see the visuals actually improve, so that they are a bit more experienced now, but I will admit the visuals are not the best. They're not great. The animations are kind of all over the place. There are times where I thought they were okay, they're pretty good, and then there are times where the Pokemon are spinning in place to turn. So yeah, not the best. A 0 though? No, I don't think this game's a 0 right now, because it works. 0 is usually for games that don't even exist. They're thoughts. Because, it's a 0. Here's one from someone that sounds like they did not play the game. That's from Natzor saying, hashtag Game Freak lied. The series I once loved is now ran by people who think they can lie to the fans. More than half of the National Dex was cut in order to make models from scratch and work on high-quality animations, but the data mine exposed Game Freak's lies because models and animations are reused from the 3DS games. No matter how you feel about it, hashtag Game Freak lied is a fact. That appears more and more to be correct when it comes to Game Freak trying to figure out how to explain it, why the National Dex was cut out like that and they had to have only a set amount of Pokemon. That is all over the place right now, but I do lean more towards Game Freak having just awful PR. Oh my gosh, it's not good. It's like Fallout 76 levels of bad. I mean, although I guess Fallout 76 did start a subscription service that's overpriced. They sent out nylon bags when they're supposed to be a different type of fabric. That is all over the place. So I guess Fallout 76 is still worse, right? But this also sounds like someone who did not play it is voicing their opinion in the form of a user review and then attaching a 0. Also, it's the same people at Game Freak for the most part, so they're still run by the same people. Here's one from Young, another 0, saying, you guys brought this on yourselves. This game is such a cash grab. You cut so many corners and put minimal effort into it, and then had the audacity to make excuses about it, which turned out to be a lie as a company, as a company to your consumers. You took your fan base for granted and thought we were just a bunch of mindless drones who would continue to support your underwhelming products without giving it a second thought and further allowing you to continue with the strategy in the future. However, that didn't work out as intended. We actually can't make that determination yet. We have to see the sales for this game. So there are early indications about the sales being good for this, and I think that's going to annoy a lot of people, especially people who are spending time leaving reviews. And it sounds like they think that, I guess, Game Freak is going to read this review the way they were talking about it. I doubt they will. But if these sales numbers come out and it's like 15 million by when they report it at the end of January, that is going to, obviously this review wouldn't make sense then, because they probably would have got what they wanted, which was a vast amount of money. But I do think they would hopefully consider improving going forward, especially when you're getting that kind of cash coming in. Yeah. Here's another one from Souza saying, Game Freak lied to their fans. They ruined Pokemon game. We need international decks. So no actual review there in the user review section. This, again, is why the user reviews are not taken as seriously. Most likely, We saw this with the Astral Chain, if you remember that. That was getting review bombed, and they removed all of them. Most likely, a lot of these will just be like removed or just omitted. They'll be left there, but they won't actually count because some of these just are not reviews at all towards the game. And then we have a string of just like one-line reviews almost at times. Igor says, little innovation, massive game. I assume when they say massive game, they mean that the game, the property itself is huge and makes a lot of money. Not that the game is massive. That would probably be like a compliment. So I don't know why I'd get a 0 then. Outdated graphics and bizarre Pokemon. That is a bit more opinionated there when it comes to how you feel about the Pokemon themselves and what they look like. Game Freak needs to reinvent itself. To a degree, I do agree with that. I think Game Freak could change things up, and I mentioned that a long time ago, and people didn't like that idea. Coffin says, so boring and terrible game. I hate you, Game Freak. How could you be so lazy? That is a strong user review that doesn't actually review anything. This might be my favorite one, though, and we'll stop here with this one and go over to some of the overly positive reviews, because we have to look at both ends here. This is from WBL saying, if a Pokemon game have not all Pokemon, why it's called Pokemon? Hashtag thank you, Game Freak. That's a good one. That's like a question you would put in like one of those philosophy books where you're just kind of asking it into like a field and like like the night sky, and you're just like, if a Pokemon game have not all Pokemon, why it called Pokemon? Okay, let's go to the overly positive reviews, starting with number a 10 right there immediately. Paid shill, so seems on the up and up. It just says best Pokemon game ever. Periods after best Pokemon game and then ever, so I guess they're emphasizing ever quite a bit with what appears to be 9 exclamation points. Didn't go for the full 10. Very few things in life make me as happy as a great Pokemon RPG, and Sword and Shield repeatedly left me in a state of pure childlike joy. The elated surprise of not knowing what's coming is something this series does extremely well if you can manage to play it relatively unspoiled. You know what? I have to say, if you were going to review bomb a game, I would be extremely sarcastic and I would leave a review like this, because this is pretty funny. It says when I saw Charizard, I clapped. That is very dramatic. Here's a review that should probably be on the back of the box. Says it's from the grave. Says it's a great Pokemon game. You got your Pokemon on Switch and it came out great. Buy it or don't. It's your cash. Can't argue with that one. Here's one from One saying, since the game last time I played Pokemon is Black and White 2, this is the fantastic one that brings back my memories. It was really enjoyable and the mechanic is really improved. So again, not a lot of info there. Just a 10. And it has brought back their memories. Here's one from Delta with a 10. I'm loving the game so far. This game gets right. Many Pokemon interactions and NPCs feel alive. I can almost hear their voice in my head. I feel like if they felt more alive, they would have the voice acting and you wouldn't have to almost hear their voice in your head. Larynx says, the game looks great. I'm sure Game Freak will fix all the bugs in the future updates. Should someone tell them that Game Freak doesn't really do patches? Well, I guess we'll finish up with probably something that Game Freak feels like they missed out on for a line for the back of the box from Lol Poop. Very elegant review. I think it goes in the right way. 10 out of 10. Well, I guess that's going to be it for the Metacritic review bombing of Pokemon Sword and Shield. It is so strange to see all of these user reviews happen all at once, but hey, it's a controversial game for a lot of people, especially the fandom, so of course they're going to come out and express their opinions on reviews for the game when they haven't played all the way through the game or maybe even played enough of the game to give a review score, but that doesn't stop them from giving it a 0 or a 10. It's just the way it is. A lot of time user review scores aren't taken seriously, and for the most part, this is why a lot of times fandoms will battle in the user review scores, or you'll see console wars take place as well, but sometimes it's just funny to read them because this is what you get half the time. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure you like the video on the way out if you enjoyed it, dislike it if not, and I'll see you guys next time.